Happy Tuesday. Thank you everybody for attending the staff meeting. So the agenda is published, and until Wayne's available, I'll play his role. So I'm going to go ahead and skip one down to number 2, because I think the first item on the agenda is just kind of a general reminder. So we should officially welcome Mihao to the team. So welcome. Glad you could join us. Do you mind quickly introducing yourself?
Okay, so my name is Michał. I'm from Poland, Wrocław. I joined GitLab on the 6th of January, and I'm currently struggling through my onboarding tasks.
Welcome. A couple items, if you could go ahead and add, and these will be from the engineering week in review stuff. So where were you before you came, and what do you like to do in your spare time?
Okay, so previously I've been working for a few small software houses here in Poland, mostly as backend engineer, and lastly as some sort of application architect. And in my spare time, well, apart from skateboarding, bartending, and reading books, I also study languages and play computer games. So I think that's it.
All right. Welcome. Glad you're here.
Welcome.
All right. For those just joining, we're on item number 3 of the agenda, which is Philippe's. So I'll turn it over to him, and I will cede the role of Wayne. So now he's here.
Thanks.
Did we nominate? Did somebody volunteer to be scribe today?
No. That was not something that's internalized for me on these, but so that's my fault.
No worries. Anybody want to volunteer?
Sure, I can volunteer.
Thanks, Lucas. Go ahead, Philippe.
All right, so then number 3, please add some documentation linked to issues, especially feature issues once done. We merged that recently in the handbook for a good reason. It's mostly because if you search on the internet for GitLab and then the feature, it's likely that you will find the issue before you will find the documentation, especially if that feature has been shipped recently. And so it's a kind of dead end, or maybe a rabbit hole sometimes, because you have some links to the doc merge request. It's kind of hard for the users to figure out exactly what's going on there and how to set up the features. So it might be helpful to have that directly in the description. So it's mostly for the PM people present in this call, but everyone, please be aware of that. Please be cautious of that. If you see that some documentation links are missing, you can add that yourself. There is no format. Use your common sense for that. It's pretty straightforward to add a link to the description. Any questions on that? Nope. Wayne, OKRs Q1.
Actually, before I know I joined a little later. I had the old link rather than the new link, presume. Did we go over the stuff at the top current team goals? My guess is no. Just, I didn't join that late.
No, we did not go over that. Speaking for myself, and I think I can speak for Lindsay on this, as both of us did go through those, at least the issues we're chasing and providing top level status in advance of this conversation.
Okay, maybe do it before the meeting next week.
I'm sorry.
Update it before the meeting next week, and then we review it next week.
Sure, happy to. So this is part of my Monday agenda.
Okay, cool. The only update I have is we got another accept this week. So we're at 4 accepts this quarter, which ends at the end of January. Goal is to get to 6. I'm guessing we're going to get to 5. But cool, thanks. So on the OKRs, and I'll combine it with the mission and vision statement. So if definitely read them, skim them. If you have any feedback on them, definitely let the group know. Any feedback at the current time? It's probably worth mentioning. So the OKRs, they're aspirational. That's a GitLab thing. They're not committed, meaning we're not expected to hit them all. If we did, we weren't setting the goals high enough. But we definitely want people's feedback on, we want to be reasonable plus. So, reasonable plus reaching. So, and they should be the things that we're focusing on. So if you don't agree, or you want to add more detail, or you think we're missing something completely in terms of goals for the group, definitely comment on these as appropriate. In terms of the mission and vision, it's really to solidify. Mission is long-term what we're trying to accomplish and what we want to be doing. That's actually vision, I guess. Favorite one's which. The other one is what we're doing more in the short term in a bit more detail. So it's great to make sure we're kind of solidify on what our overall priorities are and how we go about things, but also helping to attract new GitLabbers as well to the team. So definitely that's the reason for those. Thomas, over to you.
All righty. So a couple items just for the agenda. Number one, so product development workflow. This is something that has been recently refreshed by GitLab as a whole. It's something that we haven't brought up here previously, but it is an item that we should start paying attention to. The item that I'm specifically calling out are workflow labels, which are mentioned throughout this very long document. And it's something that that it would be great if as a practice we could start using as a part of our daily workflows. The reason for calling it out is it provides a fantastic way to start articulating status without having to drill into an individual issue. So it's kind of where we are and as far as realizing it, if it's something in test, if we're verifying it, and it helps kind of give some early signings if something is going to make an individual release. Well, if you're a backend engineer, we'll be talking more about this later this week in our one-on-ones, but I wanted to bring it up here just because this is something that is becoming a little bit more standardized. And it's something that we should figure out how we could adapt to work within the stage. So I wanted to call it out and go ahead and get the conversation started. So any questions on this while we're all here? Okay. If you have questions, we can move them to Slack. We can also have these in our one-on-one conversations later this week. Second item is me doing a plug for office hours, which was moved to today. So there's an open agenda that with questions that we can start seeding. So this is a friend of mine who has volunteered to come in and start talking to us about Elasticsearch best practices, whether it's having to do setup or provisioning or access patterns or index creation and the types of queries that we can and questions we can use this particular data store to start answering. So this is somebody he's doing me a favor. He's somebody that I've worked with for a number of years and was in charge of setting up, was in charge of architecting our use for this particular technology in previous organizations that I've worked with. And so he's a great resource. And so if you have questions, this is a good person to start asking. So link to that agenda document is available. So if you cannot attend, please add your questions. This will be recorded. This conversation, though, will be kept private. So it will be available within our shared drive, but it is not one that will make it up to YouTube. And those are the two items I have. Unless anybody's got questions. Go ahead.
Thanks for setting that up, Thomas. Good stuff.
Yeah.
Is our kind of slow strategy to kind of be building an internal Elk stack then for some of our features, as opposed to kind of we're kind of building the E now, right? The Elasticsearch of that, and then we'll have logging.
And the L.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we just
but not the K.
Eventually, or however we Yeah.
And K just got removed actually from the managed Elasticsearch app for security reasons. So if anyone is unaware of that, that just got merged.
Wow.
Yeah. Kibana has no access controls to it. So you typically don't want to use that for customer open production use. But it's great for prototyping. It's great for exploration, but it is not something you would put within a production application typically. But yeah, this is something that is coming as a part of the GitLab architecture. Monitor is using it as well. So we're pretty well aligned with other groups and other stages.
Awesome.
All right. Becca, over to you.
Oh God, the Zoom really needs a keyboard shortcut for unmute. So yeah, I just wanted to, I've been following along with the custom rules issue, and I met with Tali and Andy and Derek yesterday. And so we were planning on moving forward with rule set configuration research. And I just wanted to get some eyes on this because if we are holding off from any UX UI on WAF rule configuration, then I want to give Tali the opportunity to prioritize other research tasks. And if anybody wants to see what those research requests are, I linked to the issue that has a list of all of the research requests that she is that she's trying to prioritize. So we were gonna keep moving forward with this, but if anybody thinks that we should delay it to prioritize other things, please let me know.
Becca, it sounds like I need to have a chat with Derek on that one.
Okay.
And I'll let you know. The only reason I'm a little hesitant to scrap it for too long is that's going to feed into both the WAF and the container network as well. So yeah, I'll have to take a look and get you an answer hopefully by end of today.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, in general, I think there's a lot going on within Defend and engineering on the back end. I just want to make sure that as UX, we stay involved, we stay on top of, what needs might be. And so let's just keep that communication going. We've been working on the WAF. Oh my gosh, I haven't had my coffee yet. Sorry. The first release, the MVC of the WAF statistics reporting. So that's moving along. But yeah, I just want to make sure that I'm not. That UX is staying involved when relevant, available, but not, prioritizing it over other issues that we need eyes first across Secure and Defend.
Not trying to add scope to that particular research, but I'll jump on my soapbox. The ability to do configuration, whether for apps that we are utilizing, is something that I would desperately love to see within Defend. I would also love to see it within Secure. I would love to elevate the configuration we have out of environment variables and into the UI as an example. So just configuring, so this has broad applicability as far as I'm concerned.
Okay, great. I will follow up with you about that to make sure that when we do the research that we're capturing maybe configuration questions outside of this particular case. But sounds good.
Yeah, and I was speaking for me. This is one of my soapboxes that I like to stand on from time to time. So you just gave me a platform in which to do so. So thank you.
You're welcome.
So Philippe, I think back to you.
Right, just a quick reminder that we're going to have a live debugging session on the WAF issues, the intermittent HTTP failures on the ingress controllers. Tomorrow, it's not going to be today because we have someone that cannot attend, and we really need a bunch of people from the infrastructure team because we don't have access to production, so we can't, for example, compare the configurations. You're free to join if you want to help us. We are struggling a bit, to be honest, on that one, trying to reproduce the issue. It seems that I managed to reproduce that this morning, but it's gone. I redeployed the controllers and I can't reproduce that. So that means it's completely erratic and we need to figure out why.
That sounds vaguely familiar from the comments, if I'm remembering correctly, that a restart solves the issue. Once the problem happens, a restart of NGINX.
Of the bots, yes.
Yeah, so it may be, it takes a while, something happens to get into that state, and redeploying, which does a restart or just a simple restart, gets it out of that state. But that's, of course, a Band-Aid.
Exactly.
Does that sound familiar to you, Lucas? I think I remember seeing that in some of the comments over the last month or so.
It was
Yeah.
reported by our customers.
It was. Okay.
What that means,
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's good to know though, as a fact, or as a behavior, so we know, well, that didn't just solve it. Just because, let's say we upgraded the software and the problem went away. Well, if we upgraded it, we restarted it. That doesn't mean that the problem went away.
One possible way to solve this is to upgrade to the latest version and deploy to that until tomorrow. And if we don't have any problem with the new version, that means there was something fixed in the meantime. We don't need to know exactly why, but we need to know if we can run that safely. So that could be enough. We've spent too much time on this, and we need to move on.
I think there were some
I've also-
dependencies making that challenging, that it wasn't just upgrading what we maintain, but some follow-on dependencies we'd have to upgrade.
Yeah, but we actually had upstream requirements that we wanted to upgrade anyway. The most recent Mod Security Nginx Mod Security Nginx finally got a release cut, and I was waiting for them to release a new version for that, and that just happened like a couple of days ago. So I've been meaning to open an issue for.
Yeah. So it sounds like a reasonable way to go.
Yeah. So maybe we'll never know, but as long as we can solve it, that's cool.
Yep. So instead of reproducing, or a parallel path trying to reproduce, is get agreement from one of the ops teams to dog food in production again after those upgrades. Because it does seem to happen at least within a day or two. Pretty reliably.
Yeah.
So last topic, I don't think we mentioned any customer names or any candidate names who haven't accepted yet. And last meeting we said we wanted to start making these public. So anything that was said that we would not want to make this one public? I don't think so, but I wanted to ask the group. So I think, Thomas, you kicked off the recording, and thank you for kicking us up. Can you post this to Unfiltered?
Sure. I've got a block of time available later today. I'll do so.
Okay, cool. Good stuff. Have a great day, everybody.
Have you
Cheers.
done the?
Oh, go ahead.
Have you gone through the table at the top of the doc? I'm sorry, I was late.
Very, very briefly, it hasn't
Okay.
been updated since last week, other than the hiring one. So
No, it has been updated.
it has been updated.
It was updated yesterday.
Oh, okay.
With
So-
latest status.
Okay, I missed it. So do we want to do a quick run through then? I think that'd be great. So it's a good point. So hiring, so going back to the top of the table there, hiring, we got another accept this week. That's 4 for the quarter. I think we're done on new engineers can contribute to architecture by Q4 with the primary goals we had there. Do we call that done, Thomas, do you think? Yeah,
It is done as it's going to be.
Yep. So
Yeah. We're not going to hit all of the check boxes that are on that particular OKR. We're not going to get training maintainers, and we won't in Q1 either.
Yep. And those have flowed in, and that was as expected. Those are stretch goals, and we've moved some of those into Q1 goals, for the next quarter. So threat detection is on hold, right? Awaiting resources, time availability, aka Falco. Network policy, Cilium, we're going to get something by the end of January. Is that our current thinking?
That's my understanding.
That's what it says here.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. As far as I know, yes.
Arthur, not Arthur's not on. Zamir, does that seem accurate to you as well?
Yeah, I think it's the same. We are on the same progress that we had last week. I don't think we had a block so far.
Okay, sweet. Standalone vulnerability objects. I know there's front end work, there's back end work. We're putting it behind a feature flag in first release, which is going to be default off. With what we're planning by the end, we're going to have something feature flagged off by the end of the month.
We will have. We're making best effort towards getting this demoable, and it's something we consider for feature flag off by the end of 12.8.
And 12.8 is
which ships in February.
February. So it may not be January, but it may be February. If
Yeah.
you put a comment in there saying that'd be great. But
Yeah.
all seems reasonable and appropriate.
Yeah. If this is something that we were trying to get done by January, it would have to make 12.7 because that's our release vehicle. So looking at 12.8, this is a task, at least on the back end, that has become parallelizable. And if that's not a word, then I have made it up, and I'm going to stand by it. In that where there are distinct tasks that can be we can have multiple engineers working on this without running into a law of late projects problem. So there's some tasks that where we can get multiple folks working at the same time and not get in each other's way. And so we're starting to do that this week.
Cool. So we talked about the WAF introducing intermediate reliability issues. WAF statistics reporting looks to be ready in 12.8. That's that.
Yeah, that keeps bumping. There is 2 or 3 outstanding items. I'm going to be pairing with Dylan on some stuff this week that hopefully we can get through. And the front end's completely done. So just some blockers on the back end for reducing false positives and getting those queries tighter. I did want to call it just the bullet point on the line above this though, that's I just added. It's not root cause analysis, but we just merged the ModSec toggle as well. So that's now on canary.gitlab.com. So as of today, customers should be able to toggle on and off mod security when installing Ingress.
Cool. And last one, centralized logging for Defend features.
Scope on this blew up late last week and became more understood yesterday. As such, this has become this is almost an epic's worth of work. It is not, there are too many questions for us to begin work on it at this time. As such, we're working to defer it to 12.9, at least till 12.9 as we get our questions answered, and resources that were there, we're moving over to first class standalone vulnerability objects in order to continue to put effort and priority on that one, just because there's so much value locked behind it, and we've been chasing it for so long.
Makes sense to me. Jonathan, you're on the same page on that one?
I am, yeah. I was in part of that conversation yesterday. It just think it also came down to the monitoring group expecting more out of that issue than we were wanting to put into that issue. So there was quite a bit of disconnect on that page as well. So like Thomas said, we need to get in sync with them, I think, before we can move forward on this.
Cool. While we're going through this, anything else could add to the agenda? I don't think, or in the notes? Nope, I don't think so.
Just very quickly, and I won't mention them since it's recorded, we have a new VP of security at GitLab as of today.
Cool.
I don't know if it's going to impact us, but just wanted to share that.
So that's on the operation, well, I don't know if it's called operations, but that's reporting up to Eric level. So that's security, not for engineering specifically, but to protect GitLab itself. Different than secure and defend in engineering. Thanks, everybody. And thanks for kicking us off since I was late, Thomas.
Bye.
Cheers.